It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Talkback here on KSYL. I'm Al Quartermont along with Trish Lola. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. Happy to be back.
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
On this chilly morning.
Yeah, not as chilly as tomorrow morning is going to be, though.
No, but it's definitely cooling down out there. As let me get a current temperature for you right now. It is 35 degrees. And it's a little drizzly in some places where you hit. It might be drizzling on you, but it doesn't look like there's any ice on the roads. People were going a little bit slower today, which is probably a good thing overall. And I'm glad I left a little bit early.
I am always glad when you leave a little bit early, Al.
I did not come in wheels
exactly.
up,
Sometimes it's, yes, exactly. Cutting around that corner as you zoom over to your side of the studio over there. But no, nice to see you bright and early this morning. And tomorrow morning is going to be a different story, though. It's going to be chilly tomorrow morning and Friday morning.
22 tomorrow, 21 on Thursday morning, 22 tomorrow, 21 on Friday morning. And with wind chill, it'll make it feel even colder than that.
I heard it could be like 9 with the wind chill.
Yeah.
Feels like.
But I mean, there are places up north, what did they say? North Dakota's like 30 below right now.
Yeah.
That's just the temperature.
I know, and I'm actually waiting this morning to get pictures from our kids that are all in the lands that are getting snow again. I mean, even our one in Arkansas was the school shut down half the day yesterday because of the snow that they were starting to get up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're all just above all that snow line.
Yeah.
Actually, and, I missed last week and hated not being here, but we got to go. We were up in the middle of Kentucky last week because that same one, our youngest one, is swimming for Hendrix College. They had their conference championships up in Danville, Kentucky. Oh. Don't know if you've ever been there, but we came into Lexington and it had just snowed there. It was so beautiful seeing the snow and all the horse farms and everything up there. Yeah, it was amazing. But then, it warmed up and they started getting all this rain. And the last 2 nights we're watching on the news right near where we were is now the area where all of this flooding that you're seeing is happening up there in Kentucky right now.
Yeah. That story's kind of been underreported. Yeah. I feel like too, because
you barely hear anything about it. Yeah. And, we've got these parts, we're finally starting to get some recovery in the North Carolina area and even parts of Tennessee. I don't know if I sent it to you or not, Al. There was a great story yesterday about some parts of Tennessee and North Carolina that are still recovering, still trying to rebuild. Yeah. It was crews of Amish that were coming down now.
Yeah, I've seen that. They're building like the little houses.
Yes.
People.
Yeah, and it was really neat listening to the Amish man that was talking, because again, this is where I grew up. I grew up in the middle of Amish country in Ohio. Yeah. And look, that's one of the things I would love to bring some crews of Amish down here to help build houses down here. Yeah. Because they're amazing at their craftsmanship and everything that they do. And he said, we're pacifists, so we don't join the military. Mm-hmm. Our young boys don't join the military, but they like them to have some sort of service, And so these are boys 19 to 26 years old that are coming down here and doing this. This is their service. This is what they're doing to kind of to develop them and give back and learn about hard work.
Yeah. That is so cool.
I was like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow. And Carolina, like you mentioned, they are starting to really recover. There's a guy who I follow on Twitter. If you guys are on Twitter, his name is Matt Van Swole, and he's been kind of chronicling things from the get-go and telling the stories of people, who are really just were forgotten about. And he's just been amazed that in the last month, how much progress has taken place.
Well, and we talk about this every day on the show. We're on here, the full speed ahead that things are going. And it really shows you, never mind the things going on, across the seas with all of these things. It's just one thing after another. You're seeing the Trump administration just get in there and do. And part of it was getting down there and helping these people in North Carolina.
Right. Yeah, pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see the youngsters from the Amish community, because there was like a team of boys that were like in their 13 to 17 range, and
you could tell they had no beards, right? They were clean shaven, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yep. You can't grow your beard until you're married.
Pacifist, kind of like Russell Ziske in Stripes.
You love to bring that movie up, don't you?
I want you to know, if we ever see combat, I'll be behind you every step of the way. All right, we have a great show coming up for you today at 7:30. Rapides Parish Superintendent Jeff Powell will join us in the studio. And then at 8:05, Greg Walker will jump in here. We'll find out his thoughts on things happening in the news. At 8:30, we'll transition into talk back on estate planning, or at least that is the plan. Sometimes it doesn't always go in that direction.
Well, but you know what? All these years I've been up here with him doing all this estate planning, we deal with a lot of this in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, yesterday the situation came up that I was like, hey, I know about this. Because I've listened to Greg Walker so many times talk about this through estate planning, because real estate is a huge part of it.
Yep.
And what you can do with that property after, unfortunately, you're not here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And why you need to have a plan in place for that. Because if you don't, guess who decides for you?
That's right. And always remember,
state of Louisiana.
Custer had a plan. All right. To the phones we go. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
So I hate to interrupt all the talk of global warming because it's killing me out here. I really wish we could do something about it. I wanted to call yesterday about Nathan talking about what Margaret Brennan said to to the Secretary of State Rubio about weaponizing speech. But by the time I got to call in, Matt was complaining about insurance in Louisiana and how rent was going to go up. Here's a hint, Matt. Insurance is going to go up until we get these trial lawyers under control. Tort reform is the only solution. So anyway, I wanted to talk about weaponizing speech. You see, there's a one-word definition for weaponized speech. Does anybody know what that is?
Propaganda?
Propaganda. And that's why Margaret Brennan brought it up, because that is the industry they're in. Goebbels was a propagandist for Hitler, and the mainstream media are propagandists for the Democratic Party. That's the connection. And until we all sit up and say, stop using our public airways, broadcast media, for propaganda for one party or the other, they're always going to choose truth tellers as weaponizing free speech. How can you weaponize anyway? I'm a little confused on that.
No, that was one of the dumbest comments I think I've ever heard. And it's kind of like that clip from Billy Madison where he gives the answer and then the guy says, that might be the most stupid thing I've ever heard. And we're all dumber for having heard it.
Right.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. That's exact. I want to play that right after that.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that broadcast anchors are not smart?
Some of them.
Hey, well,
I never considered that, Al. Wow.
Some of them.
I thought they were smarter than us because they're way condescending.
Yeah, well, you got that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
You're right. I mean, even I was listening to our top of the hour news here, and I'm a loyal listener every day, but no story of Trump is ever positive. Every single story is negative. Every single one.
Yeah.
Every single one. And just like this thing, how they're concerned who's running the government. Well, where were you the last 4 years?
Exactly.
Who was running the government the last 4 years?
Isn't it? Like all of it. All of it. But I love that. Margaret, like, again.
So you're telling me we should be concerned about an unelected official auditing the government.
Right.
But it's okay for an unelected official to tell us what medicine to take, how far to stand away from our neighbors, what to wear, when to go to a bar, when to go to a church. It's okay when no elected official tells us what to do. But now when another one saves us money, I got it.
Yep.
You're catching on.
I'm slow but sure.
I'm just hoping that our new boss is not the old boss.
Well,
the new boss is
not the real boss is.
What's that?
You know who the real boss in Louisiana is? The Bar Association.
Yeah.
I mean,
it does appear that way. So hopefully we'll see some significant progress this session. So,
right. Keep voting for guys with R's after their name because that's all that matters, that they stand up for the 10 Commandments and they go to the Super Bowl, but not changing anything that really affects our economic life. It doesn't matter.
All right. Well, thank you for the call this morning. As always, appreciate you. 442-8255 is our number here on Talkback. Let's go to the BOM Bank Talk line. And again, good morning. You're on Talkback.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah.
I love everything that last caller said, as usual. But I think our only choices are among people with R's behind their name. Now, we need to be more discerning of who we vote for, and especially now on the federal level as well, because, look, I've loved most of our representatives. They've been good to come on this show and faithfully say how hard they're trying, but all this stuff that Doge is exposing was already known, and they didn't do anything about it. They played along and let it just pile up and pile up and pile up. So we do need to be discriminating in who we vote for, but I don't see anybody who has the worldview that will help us in the Democratic Party, just for what that party stands for and what they're pushing for. I'm not talking about what they stood for 50 years ago. That's over. They are controlled by the left, and so, anyways, I think that's our only pool to draw from.
Well,
but
and
he's right.
I think, Dave, the big thing of it, and you're seeing this in Trump, and we've all kind of been saying this now, is, all these people we elect, as soon as they're elected, all they're worried about is the reelection campaign. But you can tell the difference now that we've got a president in there who cannot be reelected. So he's not worried about his reelection campaign. He is actually doing the things he said he was going to do and doing it, full speed ahead. If we could get that in our own, look at our Louisiana politicians. If we could get that same thing, stop being so worried about your reelection and do the things that need done, I think.
Well, it's got to go to oversight. It's got to go to oversight. We have to hold, this is our one opportunity to hold people accountable for this corruption and really, put people in jail. And if we do, it will go a long way to retarding it in the future. But if we don't, if we just make this a hurrah moment and then Trump leaves and we go right back into that deep rut that we've cut for ourselves, then we may never get out of this thing again.
Yeah.
Anyways, I know it's up against break. Thanks. Y'all have a great day.
Yep. Thank you. Do appreciate the calls. And we need to take a break. Jeff Powell joins us in the studio right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Ford is working to reverse declining profits and high costs. Now the company is doing away with stock award bonuses for some middle managers. Ford has told employees that roughly half of a group of some 3,300 middle managers won't get stock award bonuses, typically granted in March. Yum Brands said it will consolidate its U.S. offices, relocating about 200 corporate workers as a result. The company said its 2 main locations will be in Plano, Texas, and Irvine, California. Parent company Yum and the KFC Foundation will still keep offices in Louisville, Kentucky, where more than 500 workers will be based. Stocks edged slightly higher yesterday, with investors returning to a shortened trading week on Wall Street. The Dow was essentially little changed, rising 10 points, but the S&P rose 15. The Nasdaq was up by 14 points. Today, investors are watching for an update on housing starts and the minutes from the last Fed meeting. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
The Refuge Parish Library is honored to invite you to the 2nd annual Central Louisiana African American Culture and Heritage Center event at our Martin Luther King Jr. branch. We're honoring local heroes as well as adding some exciting new additions to our center that celebrate African American culture and heritage here in Simba. Don't miss this exciting event, Saturday, February 22nd at 11 a.m. Go to rpl.org for more info.
Feel like no one really gets you and what you're going through? Louisiana 988 can help. The free confidential helpline has specialists who focus on serving the LGBTQ+ communities, connecting you to local resources, or just offering a listening ear. Share as much or as little as you want. Most people who reach out report feeling better right in the moment. It's free, confidential, and available 24/7. Text or call 988 anytime.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442 Talk 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
And we are back with you here on Talkback on this Wednesday morning. Al Quartermont along with Trish Lilla today. And Jeff Powell joins us in the studio, Rapides Parish Superintendent. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Good morning. Good to see you guys this morning.
Good to see you, too. I was asking you if you're talked out yet, because I hear you've been giving interview after interview after interview.
It's been a busy 10 days or so, but it's fun. It's good stuff. I never get tired of talking about the great work of our students and employees.
And it's so exciting. I want you to tell our audience all about it. I told Al this morning that we had Coach Smith yesterday for Rotary speak with us, and he mentioned how great a job that you're doing in the media influx that we're getting right now because of this New York Times article. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think everybody's aware that over the last few weeks, it's been an amazing time for our entire state. You know, the impact that the laws and policies and financing have had, particularly with education. The nation's report card was released a couple weeks ago, and I have to put this into context for people. In all these years, generations out now, that people have said Louisiana ranks at the bottom or near the bottom in education. Well, where that information comes from is the nation's report card. And the nation's report card is measuring the NAEP assessment, which is a nationwide kind of norm reference assessment that's given every 2 years to a group of students throughout all the states. It's supposed to be a random sample. I think we had 8 schools participate in it 2 years ago or last year when it was administered. So the same report card that has said that we stink in education for generations is now, over the last 6 years, we were 49th 6 years ago or 4 years ago. And then 2 years ago, we moved to 43rd. And then last year we moved, the most recent rendition of it, we're now 32nd in the country in terms of our students' academic achievement. And in that, in the nation's report card, we ranked, I think, 4th in math. And we're doing some amazing things as it relates to education. So that was the first big thing. We had the big press conference in Baton Rouge with the governor and state superintendent. It was great. And then last week, what was released was this report about the education recovery report card or scorecard. And essentially that report done by Stanford and Harvard is measuring how well states are doing with the academic recovery post-COVID. And in that report, Louisiana is the only state that has out-achieved pre-pandemic academic success in both literacy and mathematics. We outperformed everybody in literacy, and then Alabama has also improved in mathematics, but not in literacy. And in that New York Times article, there were 3 or 4 specific school systems around the country identified, encouraging people to reach out to and maybe study the work that's going there. In Rapides Parish, Louisiana, of all places, was identified in the New York Times. So it's been fun.
So it was Rapides Parish. It was Union City, New Jersey, Ector County, Texas, and Compton, California. So now you guys can say you're like straight out of Compton.
Straight out of Compton, for sure.
Or straight out with Compton.
Right.
Straight out of the pandemic with Compton. That's awesome. And as a result, you've been getting some phone calls from around the country to do interviews about the success that you've had. What's kind of your message when they ask you about what's happened?
Well, obviously, the work of our teachers and school leaders and our families that have support. Y'all, we've been in this ride together. For the 5.5 years that I've been superintendent, I remind people that I became superintendent about 8 months before the governor shut down the entire state as a result of COVID. And then really since that time, everybody's been rebounding. But I remember, Al, I was telling one of the interviewees the other day that I distinctly remember standing in front of our principals when we first got notification. The first money we got was about $10 million, what they called GEARS money. It was kind of a governor's allocation. And I remember specifically telling our folks that, 5 years from now, people are going to look back and ask, what type of academic return on this investment are we going to be able to show people? And so when you think about that and you think about all the things that our teachers were able to do, our school leaders were able to do, our bus operators, our school food service workers, our custodians, our, all the work that was done, our families just really rallying around what we've all said has been the most important thing, and that is making sure that our students don't back up. And literacy, that first year that we tested after we came back, remember we were one of only 19 districts in the state of Louisiana that did not decline.
Yeah.
And so even with all of the interruptions and all of those things, we didn't decline. And then it's just been kind of building one step after the other since then. So, I mean, it's on the backs of our students who bought into the work that we're doing, our teachers doing the work, and our school leaders.
Well, and I think you can't discredit, too, your leadership and all this and how you did work through all that, because I saw such a stark difference from my own students here within our school district during that time and my nephews that are all in a different part of the country and what their schools were doing at that time. And I mean, I think this right here, I mean, the fact that I can look at this chart and Louisiana is the only one with a plus next to it,
right,
that we actually gained while all these other areas lost, and how much some of them lost. I mean, you can't discredit the leadership of all of you through all of that and making literacy that priority.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at our board and a lot of the tough decisions that were having to be made during that time, the leadership that they stepped out and said, no, this is how we're going to handle things. And there were some contentious meetings. Y'all remember some of those times we'd have people show up that were against masks, that were against all these things, but we were like, hey, we got to have kids in school. So whatever anybody says we have to do to have kids in school. And I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about even the state leadership from Dr. Brumley and the policy things that Bessie considered during that time. I mean, Dr. Brumley and his team, Jenna Chasson and those folks, I mean, they were adamant about how important it was to get kids in school. And I mean, y'all, if you go back and look, there were school systems a year and a half later that were still not back in face-to-face 100%.
Right.
And obviously, a lot of those states are still struggling to rebound.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're seeing studies that talk about how negative the impacts of all that was on the kids. So I'm glad we didn't really have that here.
Right.
Kudos to you guys. We need to take a break. More coming up here on Talkback.
KSYL. Your teeth are in need of a little dental work, but you're putting it off. Why? Could it be you can't stand the thought of wearing old-timey adhesive-filled dentures? Is it the high cost of dental implants? Or is it just the concept of having a dentist poking around inside your mouth? Whatever your reason, today's Dental in Pineville has it covered. And with hundreds of smiling, satisfied patients, they've made getting implants amazingly simple, low anxiety, and affordable for everyone. And with calming in-office IV sedation administered by a highly skilled certified nurse anesthetist, your anxiety will all but slip away. Plus, their multiple finance options make implants truly affordable. So why wait? If you're looking to replace your old-timey denture with permanent implants, give Today's Dental on Highway 28 East in Pineville a call at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility owned by Dr. Jonas Goche. 448-4540.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK-TALKBACK.
All right, we are back with Superintendent Jeff Powell here on this Wednesday morning, been talking about some of the good things that we're hearing news-wise for not only the district, but the state of Louisiana. Louisiana also ranking 32nd on the nation's report card. And that's a big jump from where we've typically been 48, 49, or 50.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go to the NRBIA luncheon on the north side of the river that State Representative Johnson hosts, but I know Matt Ritchie spoke there, and I just seeing some of the coverage of that. One of the really great things about seeing Louisiana making such huge moves in the education world is the impact that it has on attracting business and industry here, as well as workforce development opportunities there. So, when we've said this, we all know that if you have a strong education system, then great things happen. And so what we're seeing across our state, and particularly here in Rapides Parish, is the impact of having such great positive coverage with that.
And speaking of positive coverage, I know that you are conscientious about doing things to reward and recognize your teachers, and you just had a pretty nice luncheon on Monday. Talk about that.
Yeah, so we had our first, hopefully what will be our first annual Excellence in Teaching luncheon just to kind of set the stage for that, every core teacher in grades 4 through 10 that teach the tested subject areas there get what's called a VAM score, a value added model score from the state. So regardless of their SLTs and regardless of other observation evaluation scores, that data comes directly from the state as to whether or not those teachers are highly effective, proficient, emerging, or ineffective. And so last year, when you talk about the gains that we've had, right, we had 66 of those teachers that were rated highly effective by the state. And sadly, we had never really done anything kind of out of the ordinary to recognize those teachers. So we had this idea of trying to do something special for them, a luncheon. And look, I've got to give credit to Miss Glenda Stock-Smith. Honestly, that's the only call I made. I told her what we were looking at doing, and she said, I'll call you right back. And within just a few hours, she called me and said, we've got it covered, Jeff. Thank you for giving us a chance. And, wow. You know, the Robinson family with Crest, I mean, most of these folks, it was personal. You know, it wasn't necessarily just their business. It was personal stuff. Dr. Paul Carell, such a great friend, personal friend, but also of our school system. The success they're having at LHOA, but he supports the Rapides Parish public school system so strongly, and then also Pan American Engineers, Thomas David. You know, they all came together. They made the donation. We were able to put together a luncheon for all of these teachers, made them plaques, and again, sadly, first time we've done that, but. You know, and we challenged them. You know, it was a great time. They were very appreciative, but we told them we wanted the room twice as full next year. You know, yeah. So it was a great thing, and super proud of the hard work that so many of our teachers are doing.
Yeah, and that was on Monday. You had it at the Hotel Bentley. Monday was an off day for the students, right?
Correct. It was a professional development day for our staff. So most of them were in professional development activities that morning. We said, we've got your lunch covered. They showed up at 11:30. We had a little luncheon for them. State Bessie board member Lance Harris, former state representative, he was there and spoke and gave them kudos, as well as, like I said, Glenda spoke and Dr. Carell. So it was a great time.
Wow. It's wonderful to show that partnership between our community, the schools, and just like these report cards and all of these things, they do mean a lot. I know that firsthand, too. It's one of the first things people ask about when they're looking to relocate here. And what a great success story we're having right now.
It's been kind of funny. You know, I've talked with several folks that are, interestingly enough, this is positive news on the NAEP thing, right? It's good. And I've had people, even those in education, like, you know, what does the NAEP really mean? You know, I mean, I honestly, I told somebody yesterday, I said, are you seriously asking me that? I said, did you question the NAEP all the years that it ranked us 49th or 48th? I said, because I don't remember any of y'all questioning that then. But now all of a sudden it says Louisiana's doing good.
And you want to question.
And you're going to, let's just not go there. Okay. Let's just not. You know, Louisiana's doing well, and we should be celebrating, especially as educators, right? We should be celebrating this. So it is exciting.
People are funny.
People are
funny. That's a great way to say it.
No. Celebrate our positives, people. These are all great positives out there.
With the discussion going on in Washington right now, with the Trump administration kind of floating the idea of maybe doing away with the Department of Education at the federal level, just sending that money to the states, I know one of the reasons that President Trump believes that is when the Department of Education was created in 1980, America ranked largely first in the world in all these categories, and now we're like down at like 40th. So do you have any thoughts of what's happening and how that would even affect a district like Rapides Parish?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it multiple times, and I'll say it again. You know, I am for the elimination of bureaucracy that stands in the way of improvement. And what we have seen, I've said it multiple times, when you go back to the beginning, the inception of the different programs that the Department of Education oversees, if you will. You know, Title I, it was established so that students who come from economically disadvantaged backgrounds are provided opportunities to have academic success, and if they're in a situation where that is a little bit more difficult. So that's a good cause, right, for those funds. The Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act, right? Obviously, we need to provide additional supports for those students that are that need it the most. But what's happened as a practitioner, what has happened over the course of time is laws have been misinterpreted, policies have been misunderstood, and we have turned those offices and even those employees into compliance officers to meet bureaucratic policy perceptions, if you will. And in many, many cases, Al, we've lost that the whole intent of those funds were to make sure that those students have academic success, right? And so when I'm talking even around the state here, and we're addressing and trying to hit some of these things head on, it's like, as a school system, we have to remember, what do we exist for? We exist to educate children. The only measure of whether or not we're successful at that is whether or not students are growing academically. That's it, right? Now, you as a parent expect us to do that in a safe environment, right? We got to keep our children and employees safe, 100%. And you want us to do it in a fun way, right? We want our employees and our students to come to work and be wanting to engage in a meaningful way. But we exist to educate children. We cannot get better. And so when you do a breakdown of how much money is being spent, to your point, Al, what the feds are seeing right now, of how much money is being spent, and then are we actually getting an academic return on that investment, is horrible. Right. And we actually did a microcosm of that exact activity when I first became superintendent here, and our board members were able to see that where we were spending the most money, we were getting the least academic return on investment, which is what has led to so many different, sometimes controversial things that our board's been willing to make tough decisions about. But then you look at the end result, and I mean, what do we exist for? We exist to educate children, and we should be, and as taxpayers, as government officials, whoever it is, as local community business owner, you should want to see an academic return on the investments that are being made.
And that's what we're seeing now.
We are
seeing that return on that.
And if the government feds will just hand us that money without going through all the bureaucratic red tape, you'll see even more.
Right?
Well, it might have.
The red tape. There you go.
All right, we'll take our last break and more with the superintendent.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way. Louisiana has a free hearing aids program sponsored by the Louisiana Commission for the Deaf and coordinated by New Horizons Independent Living Center here in Cenla. To qualify for a free hearing aid, you must be a resident of Louisiana, at least 50 years of age or older. You must also meet the hearing loss and annual household income criteria. Now, if you do, your hearing aid is absolutely free. To find out if you qualify, call New Horizons Independent Living Center at 318-484-3596.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK 78 104.9 FM. KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
Again, continuing our conversation with Superintendent Jeff Powell, we do have a question that has come in. Apparently, you had a recent audit. Is that right?
Yeah, we do an annual audit. Yeah.
Okay. And it showed that enrollment in 23-24 was 22,101 students. A decade ago, it was 23,652. So difference of about 1,500 students. Classroom teachers numbered 1,769 in the new audit compared to 1,595 10 years ago. Also, there are more employees now than there were 10 years ago. So they're asking about the difference between employees and teachers on the rise, even though there are less students.
Yeah, so actually we can tie that conversation back to the previous conversation of some of the expectations now that are much different than 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We actually have a couple annual reports that then Superintendent Alan Nichols put together, several, decades ago now, and we've seen those numbers as well. And so, what I have to remind people of now is, we don't maximize class sizes anymore. Like you walk into very few classes where you're going to see 33 students in it. When it comes to students with disabilities and things like that, there is you can look at the percentage of those compared to how many teachers we need for that, as well as paraprofessionals. I mean, there's a bunch of intricacies, if you will, that go into what we are expected to provide for our students now, as well as ensuring that we are safe and secure throughout our campuses. So, there's definitely a difference in the enrollment. I mean, I think everybody knows, obviously, as the state population has decreased, our own parish population has decreased, so has student enrollment. We did have a year or two there, though, that we were up, which we were very happy about that. But I mean, I'm happy to sit down with anybody and kind of go through all the intricacies that go into how schools and the system is staffed now compared to even what it was 10 years ago.
Sure. You know, it's another interesting, as a parent, having kids, again, that were in some of those classes that were so stuffed full.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that now our kids aren't having to, be in such huge class sizes.
Right.
And I think that's so much better for their learning. But again, you always have people complaining.
Yeah. Well, and also you have to remember, like when you have now, like we didn't have this 10, 15 years ago, you have all these different career tech ed classes, right?
Yeah.
Well, obviously we don't have 33 kids in a welding shop, right? We only have 10 or 12 or 15 bays there, or some of these very EMT classes, these types of things. I go back to people are used to, they'll ask me, y'all need to bring shop back. And I'm not going to do my little voiceover because people are probably listening that they know how I go with that. But, we have all these very specified classes now that don't typically have, like I said, 33 per class and things. So it's definitely educating students is different today than it was 10 years ago.
All right. We have a call coming in. Let's go ahead and take that. Good morning, Your Honor, with Superintendent Powell.
Good morning. In reference to what y'all were just talking about, and I don't know, as soon as I was going to call and ask Superintendent, how does Rep East Parish compare to what we spend per student for Louisiana, and how does Louisiana compare to the southern region, what we spend per student as far as the number of students we got? And I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. And obviously I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. I can tell you just anecdotally, it has been said that Louisiana, as far as family income, we're identified as one of the poorer states, even within our region, despite our abundance of natural resources. So that may change again, as with some of the other economic things. And the way education funding is, I mean, we fund, just like they're saying at the federal level, we fund education at a high level. The question comes back to, what is that money going to, right? There's a report that the state has now started issuing. In fact, I got a copy of this report yesterday that is now mandating that school systems are spending at least 70% of their budget on instructional activities. And so, obviously, well, not so obviously, but Rep East Parish is one of the, I think, 15 parishes that already meet that threshold. I mean, we spend the majority of our funds on the things that directly impact students. And so anecdotally, I'll tell you, I mean, Louisiana spends a lot per student, and the southern region, I don't have those numbers to compare to, but obviously there's a lot of conversations typically around how much of that actually goes to things like teacher salaries and things like that, so that we can be competitive and help elevate the profession. And those are some of the conversations that are being had a lot these days.
Sure. All right. In a couple of minutes we have left, we always like to get an update on the District 57 bond. Speaking of how money is being spent and how that impacts the students, what can you update us on with that?
So the bond progress is exciting. We're starting to post a lot of different things with that. Some of y'all that are watching Caroline Dorman out there, District 57, as well as Carter C. Raymond, we put some information about that. Excited to see the old building at Carter C. getting torn down as we get ready for some of the new construction that's going to happen out there. That we've done a lot of updates already to the new building. I was excited to see actually Tudor Construction posted the other day, hey, we got some metal going up out here at Caroline Dorman, but without much fanfare, we got to go back and get it covered. The extension or addition at DF Huddle opened up right after the holidays, and so we actually have students in there. We're going to get some coverage out on that. We've got the bid packet fixing to go out on Alexandria Middle Magnet. Arthur F. Smith is actually in progress, but we ran into a little snag right up after we tore down part of that building. There were some utility pipe work underneath the old construction that was not on any of the drawings. So we've had to go back and look at some things there, but lots of stuff in the works there, as well as I know everybody's following Alexandria Senior High. I love watching some of the comments. This Alexandria Senior, like that. I didn't realize, Trish, that stairwell had so many memories for people.
I know. Even our kids were like, the stairwell.
Some of them out have talked about how they skipped class in the stairwell. All these other things.
That was not my kids. But yes, I did hear stories of other kids. What that stairwell meant.
Yeah.
And watching that come down, you had no idea that was going to be such a huge deal.
Yeah, but it is. I think Ash is doing a great job job of kind of keeping
Yeah,
people posted. Their media specialist over there is doing a wonderful job. But there's such excitement around seeing improvements to our schools that I just part of our job or role, I think, is to help keep that. I mean, this is your tax dollars at work. There's a lot of times we're paying taxes, going back to the federal conversation, we don't know what the money's going toward. This is something that you can drive around town. And I was actually having a conversation with another realtor not long ago. And, I'm like, they were lamenting, honestly, a little bit about some of our facilities. I was like, well, that's what we just spent $100 million on. And, it's happening. So just come around in a couple months and you'll see again, So, but it also is very important for people to be in the know, which is why we're trying to, go to our website, see where everything, especially if you're in that business recruitment market, if you're in we have great relationships with our hospitals, with Roy Martin, Crest, all these entities they need the workforce that's coming out of our schools, and they are also often trying to recruit people to our area. And to your point, Trish, people are often asking about our schools. And so not just about the academic performance, but also what does it look like? How's my child going to feel in there?
Awesome. Well, a lot of good things to focus on right now with the Rapides Parish School System. Superintendent Jeff Powell, our guest here on Talkback. Always good to catch up with you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate it, Trish.
All right. When we come back, Greg Walker joins us in the studio. Looking forward to that here on Talkback.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting. FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HP3 Alexandria. It's 8 o'clock. Is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Record lows well below zero are sweeping the nation's midsection. It comes on the heels of deadly flooding in the south, where snow fell overnight. CBS's Nicole Valdez is in Clarksville, Tennessee.
More than 87 million people will be affected by this deep freeze. That includes families here not only dealing with 6 inches of snow already on the ground, but floodwaters still surrounding so many homes across the Kentucky and Tennessee border here.
The mayor of New York City has been ordered to show up in federal court today, along with reps for the Justice Department, to explain why his corruption case was scrapped. CBS's Linda Kenyon.
Justice Department lawyers and Mayor Adams will try to make their case to drop the charges. The Trump administration's move to dismiss the case has led to accusations that Adams made a deal for leniency in exchange for help with the president's immigration agenda. He denies the charges, but Adams could have even more troubles. New York Governor Kathy Hochul is said to be considering removing him from office, which, as governor, she has the power to do.
The Kremlin says President Trump and Vladimir Putin could meet in person before the end of the month, after envoys from both the U.S. and Russia met in Riyadh yesterday to plan negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. Correspondent Imtiaz Tayyab is at the foreign desk.
You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
The president's suggestion that Ukraine started the war and not Russia, which launched a full-scale invasion nearly 3 years ago, has shocked Ukrainian and European leaders who were also left out of the talks. It's also a view apparently not shared by Keith Kellogg, the Trump administration's envoy to Ukraine, who arrived in Kyiv this morning.
Kind of nice that I'm here just a few days before the third anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Officials in Port St. Lucie, Florida, say a 2-year-old boy was on a bed with his mother when he reached for a gun nearby and shot himself to death. Police Chief Leon Nimchik.
If you're going to have a firearm and you're going to have children in the house, obviously the gun needs to be secured.
Says the weapon belonged to the mother's fiance. Investigators still trying to figure out exactly why a Delta flight burst into flames and flipped over on a runway at the airport in Toronto Monday. The airline CEO, Ed Bastian, spoke exclusively with CBS's Chris Van Cleve.
It was an experienced crew. There's one level of safety at Delta between our mainline and our regional jets. All these pilots train for these conditions. They fly under all kinds of conditions at all the airports in which we operate.
All 80 people on board survived. 2 are still hospitalized. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And it's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge. But it's also true, people are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MetaShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Jeff Palermo. 9 medical organizations representing thousands of Louisiana doctors released a statement that says vaccines should not be politicized. It's in response to Surgeon General Dr. Ralph Abraham's directive that the Louisiana Department of Health is no longer organizing mass vaccination efforts. Professor Susan Hassig with the Tulane School of Public Health says there's been pushback against vaccines for decades, but the results show they are good for public health.
They have saved hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives, and reduced disease burdens in far more people than that.
Abraham says an individual should talk with its own healthcare provider to decide if a vaccine is right for them. The Alliance for Affordable Energy does not think Entergy's plan to build 3 gas power plants to support the $10 billion Meta Artificial Data Center in Northeast Louisiana is a good idea. Logan Burke is concerned about costs.
Even if Meta is going to pay for this facility or these 3 facilities for 15 years, after that, we are all on the hook for it if you pay an Entergy Louisiana bill.
The PSC is looking over Entergy's plan. LRN.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
Well, a cloudy and windy day for us today. Good morning. Our forecast calling for afternoon highs only up to 37 degrees. With a strong breeze along with it out of the north at about 10 to 20. Tonight, 22 for the overnight low with a few clouds here and there. And as we look ahead to Thursday, a sunny day. Still going to be cold. Afternoon highs only near 38. Back down to 22 on Thursday night. From the Sedlaw Broadcasting Weather Center, that's your forecast. I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 35 degrees in Sedlaw.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
Let's go into the real numbers. From 200 to 209 years old, 879 people. From 210 years old, I haven't met any of them. And if I did, I would bless them. I would worship the ground they walk on. 210 to 219 years, 866. From 220 years old to 229 years old, 1,039. And then you have 2 people. From 240 years old to 249 years old, 1 person. And there's 1 person that's 360 years old.
Welcome back, everyone, here on this Wednesday morning. I'm Al Quartermont, along with Trish Lilla. Greg Walker joins us in the studio. That was President Trump running down the list of ages that apparently DOJ has discovered are on the current Social Security rolls.
Well, I can say this, the 306-year-old
finally somebody got their money's worth out of Social Security.
I was gonna say, Greg, how many of those 200 and something year olds have you worked with on this?
Yeah, none.
Estate planning.
Yeah, that just shows you why you need to pay the money in all the time, because you might be one of those lucky ones.
This just in, Methuselah still collecting checks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So, hey, welcome back, everyone, for hour number 2 here on this Wednesday. We're always glad to have Greg Walker join us in the studio. At the bottom of the hour, we'll get into talking about estate planning, I think, but we always take this first half hour to get Greg's thoughts of the day.
Yeah.
Remember the old times when David Letterman used to do his show and Jay Leno would come on before they hated each other? And Leno would do a segment called "What's My Beef?" and he would kind of go off on certain.
Is that what it takes to get into show business? Because I could have been a star.
You could have been. I'm telling you.
Beef. I got plenty of beef.
Oh, we made you a star on this show.
That's right.
So
do you remember Joe Pine, the Joe Pine show?
Joe Pine.
He was a predecessor to Rush Limbaugh on TV, but Joe Pine would invite somebody to come on and discuss issues. It was kind of like point counterpoint.
Okay.
But it was it leaned more towards Jerry Springer.
Gotcha.
And it was a Joe Pine show, and Joe Pine would start discussing something with somebody, and of course they were on opposite ends of the spectrum. And before the show was over, they'd be screaming at each other and yelling, and a big fight would break out.
Oh, man.
Joe Pine. Everything else is on YouTube. I wonder if there's any
sure it is. I'm
old
sure it
clips
is.
of the Joe Pine show.
Apparently, there was a famous interview he did with Frank Zappa.
Oh, wow.
So I'll have to search for that. Yeah, I just looked it up. Who was the other guy? There was another guy that was on for a while. He would be on kind of later at night, and he was more of a kind of, I think, a conservative guy.
The guy from California with the Jewish accent. He was from the Bronx or somewhere originally.
Yeah.
He was a PhD. I think that's who you're talking about.
I can picture him, but
yeah, he wore a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was ultra conservative. Boy, I can't think of his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Probably someone in our audience will know. So, but those were, the kind of the precursor shows to when Rush came on the air. So.
You know, talking about people like that, I often think you read through these websites, social media sites, and you hear what some of these people have to say.
Yeah.
And it just gets your blood boiling. Either that or you say, there's some stupid people in this world. But
you noticed that, huh?
But I have a way to solve that, at least for me. I think on each site I'm going to suggest that the moderators require that people put whether they voted for Trump and whether they got the COVID shot. And you either have a green check or you have a red check. And the red checks we don't pay any attention to.
Okay. All right.
You think that'll work?
Maybe. That's worth a try.
Oh, it just gets me all this, particularly with this Doge thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how anybody can be upset and say we're in a constitutional crisis. The constitutional crisis is these 300-year-olds that are getting our tax dollars.
Right.
Not the fact that they're finding them.
Yeah.
But you know what? More than that, and really, if we need to take a real look at ourselves after COVID jabs and now this, we are not holding our elected officials accountable. And that means every member of Congress. I had some staunch Republicans in the other day I was meeting with. And, the wife said, well, we are Republicans. I said, well, what do you think about so-and-so? I named one of our senators. Oh, we love him. I said, well, you know what was going on right below his nose? He's on these committees and does now some nice sound bites. But all this money that they're in oversight has been just going up in smoke. And really, you never hear anybody say throw the bombs out anymore.
Right.
And really, we don't keep them accountable. And you can look, are you a part of the party, state, local? Because I think that has a lot to do with it. We get them in there, and I got somebody in high places now. They can get me into a tour in the White House and this, that, and the other, which is how these people have stayed in.
They bring the bacon home. When you get the paid by the government propaganda once or twice a year from them, telling us what they did, open it up. All it talks about is the money they brought home.
Right. Right.
And nobody gets up in arms about the just waste of money.
Yeah.
And it's got to be kickbacks going in, all this money. And now Trump's brought up what the hell's happening to all the money that we sent over to the most corrupt nation in the world?
Yeah.
But who's ultimately responsible?
Yeah.
We are.
Well, between finding that and then now as they're looking into, here are all these people on this kind of salary, but yet their net worth is what?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
right. I mean, sitting congressmen and senators that their salary is what, $200,000 a year, but they're retiring as multi-millionaires. How is that happening?
How many people do you know? Well, because you probably run in circles with people that think like you do, but you always hear this. Oh, Congress has a better health plan than we have.
Yes.
Congress didn't have to take the shot. They live a different life
That's
up
right.
there. And
most people don't realize that Congress and all of their staffs were exempt from getting the COVID vaccine.
Think about this for a minute. The mayor of Pineville got kicked out for his shenanigans. In Congress, they have a fund to pay the same people off for the same shenanigans so these guys and ladies can keep their jobs up there.
Right.
Now think about that for a minute. It's all happening right in front of our eyes. All these people talking from the liberals to the conservatives, and yet they let it go. Scalise, he's a top dog up there. Well, somebody ought to bring him in on the local carpet and ask him, how come you didn't round up the troops to take care of oversight where all this money's going? And here's the one that really gets me. I still can't believe that the President of the United States can put illegals on a plane, fly them into the United States, give them a $5,000 credit card, and ship them up to a luxury hotel in New York where they stay, and they give them special food to eat. Why? Where were the lawsuits over that?
I know.
Where were all these people complaining? No outrage. They did it.
Yeah.
Well, I think the outrage you saw was what happened in the election.
Well,
that was.
I would have liked to seen a little different outrage. I would have liked to seen, like the Million Man March down on the border, and I would have liked to have seen Congress bring lawsuits to try to stop this. Like we've had lawsuits trying to stop Doge, and I would have. That's what I elect these people to do. Nobody listens to me. At best, they hear me here on this, or they get a podcast, and then that goes into oblivion. But these people are ones we elect. They get the sound bites.
Yep.
You know, I hadn't heard lately, and I find this interesting, is Ted Cruz. Have you seen him on TV lately?
Not. No, it's a good one. Yeah.
He was always on.
Yeah.
Bitching about something and what a great job he was, what we need to do, and this, that, and the other. And now, with all this is going on, he's kind of keeping a low profile. And I wonder what that's all about.
Does make you wonder.
Maybe he's scared to face his local people who are going to say, you were on watch. Why didn't you catch this?
Maybe. All right, let's go to a call. Good morning. You're on Talk.
I knew I could get him stirred up.
Well, I was reading last night that the number one Google search in Washington, D.C. is for a criminal defense attorney.
Yeah, I saw that. Wonder why.
I don't know.
Also, tons of houses have gone up for sale in DC. Have you seen that?
I've seen like all of the posts and the things about that, and so I wanted to go in and actually myself study that a little bit, just like I go in and I study our own market trends here.
Yeah.
I wanted to actually go into our own database and study that and see date by date what's been happening with houses coming up for sale, prices. I mean, they're talking about the decrease in value of all that property up there, which, property values in DC are crazy.
Right.
So I've wanted to dig into it a little bit.
Brett Bear, he sold a $1 zillion house he had in Washington. He's probably moving to Florida because of the tax. No local tax down there.
Right.
Kind of on this subject, I know last night Sean Hannity played an interview with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And he asked Elon about this whole thing. Nobody voted for Elon. That's the only argument that the left is coming up right now. But listen to this response because it kind of dovetails to the things we've just been talking about.
This is what you get from the Democrats. You get nobody voted for Elon. Well, nobody voted for any of your cabinet nominees. Okay. People are dying because of Doge cuts. I'll give you a chance to respond to all that. What Doge is doing is illegal. Elon Musk is more street vernacular for a male body part. It's a constitutional crisis.
Okay. Why are they reacting like this?
Well, first of all, do you give it flying rip, or number one? And
well, I guess we must be over the target or doing something right. You know, if like they wouldn't be complaining so much if we weren't doing something useful, I think. But what all we're really trying to do here is restore the will of the people through the president. And what we're finding is that there's an unelected bureaucracy. Speaking of unelected, there's a vast federal bureaucracy that is implacably opposed to the president and the cabinet. And you look at, say, DC voting, it's 92% Kamala. Okay, so we're in 92% Kamala. That's a lot.
They don't like me here either.
I think about that number a lot. I'm like 92%. That's basically almost everyone.
Yeah.
And so, but how can you, if the will of the president is not implemented, and the president is representative of the people, that means the will of the people is not being implemented, and that means we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. And so, I think what we're seeing here is the sort of the thrashing of the bureaucracy as we try to restore democracy and the will of the people.
I think that's spot on.
Oh, absolutely. Look, Elon is part of the bureaucracy now. He was hired by Trump.
Right.
He's just good bureaucracy, but there's nothing wrong with him. It's just like me hiring an IT guy to come in and go through my stuff. There's not a thing wrong with it. And like you said, they must be over the target to have so many. And I'll tell you, so we ought to be taking names of these people.
Yeah.
And to me, the Democrats are cutting their own throats with all of this, because nobody in his right mind can hear about where this money has been going and how much money it is. I mean, stupid stuff. Did you hear how they were taking quails and giving them cocaine to study how it affected their sex? I mean, this is like a joke. You say, well, that must be a joke. That can't be true. No, millions of dollars. I think 20 million went to give quail cocaine to study their mating habits after they had the cocaine. Now, really. And here we are. People are trying to make ends meet.
Yep.
And paying these damn taxes. And here we got March the 15th is when all the companies have to file. So all of our business people who are still in business, they won't be long at the rate we're going. They've had to get their tax stuff in. And then on April 15th, we get clipped.
Yep.
And they ought to be up in arms about where our money's been going. Just a few of these things are enough to infuriate you, but every day it's something.
You mean you didn't like paying $10 million for Chelsea Clinton's wedding?
No, I didn't get invited. Now look, if they include me on a few of these things, I can have you know how us lawyers are. We can talk out of both sides of our mouth. So, if I'm, it's like Carlin said, it's a big group and you're not part of it.
That's right.
Now, if they let me into the group, I could soften my views a little bit.
I think it was Groucho Marx who said, I wouldn't want to be part of any club that would invite me. We need to take a break. More with Greg and your calls right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Looking for the perfect place to host your next event? The Community Center at England Air Park can make your special occasion memorable. Reserve the Community Center at England Air Park for your next wedding, reunion, or corporate function. The possibilities are endless with our column-free main room and spacious outdoor patio. Have a favorite caterer, decorator, or band? The choice is yours. For information regarding costs, rental agreements, and event planning, visit englandairpark.org.
Does choosing the right realtor matter? Hi, this is Trish and here's a true story. A Sinlaw home had been listed for quite some time, long enough to trigger price reductions. So the seller finally decided to change realtors and contacted us, the Trish Group. We staged, professionally photographed, and put our marketing to work. In the first 12 hours, we had almost 2,500 viewers online, 26 inquiries, and 2 showings. The right realtor to make a real difference. The Trish Group. We're Sinlaw Broadcasting, local radio doing local public service.
Near the end of the Civil War, 2 forts were built in Pineville to guard the Red River. Today, the Fort Randolph and Bulow State Historic Sites offers visitors an amazing glimpse back to that time. The site contains the remains of 2 old forts, a beautiful visitor center, a scenic overlook on the Red River, and a series of impressive elevated boardwalks. Learn more at Forts Randolph and Bulow State Historic Site on Facebook.
This has been a public service reminder from Sinlaw Broadcasting. Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
Now back to Talk Back, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
So they sign a contract in a government agency, and it has 3 months, and the guy leaves that signed the contract, and nobody else is there, and they pay the contract for 10 years.
Yeah.
So the guy is getting checks for years and years and years, and he's telling his family, obviously, maybe it was crooked, maybe he paid to get the contract, or maybe he paid that they didn't terminate it. But, you know, we have contracts that go forever, and they've been going for years, and they're supposed to end in 3 months or 5 months or 2 years or something, and they go forever. So the guy is either crooked, you know, where he knew this was going to happen, or he's crooked because he's getting payments that he knows he shouldn't be getting. But they're finding things like that. They're finding things far worse than that. And they're finding billions, and it will be hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fraud. I say waste and abuse, but fraud, waste, and abuse.
That's President Trump talking about some of the work that DOJ has been doing. You know, and kind of going back, Greg, to what you were saying in the last segment, I sit here as a taxpayer, and it makes me want to never pay one single dang cent to this corrupt government again.
Yeah, and that's from top to bottom, I hate to tell you. It's everywhere. That's just the nature of bureaucracy, and it's so inefficient that it keeps growing, and it needs more to be fed.
Yeah.
And the more it grows, the more inefficient it is, and the more it needs to be fed.
Right.
And so we're at the point now where if you totaled up not just what you pay in property tax and sales tax and income tax, but all these hidden fees and taxes and whatnot, I dare say we probably give over 50% of our income
at least
to some government.
Yeah.
You know, every year they say, well, today's the tax day, you know, up until today. Yeah. Well, really, it's 365 days a year.
Yep.
And every time I write a check out, I say the same thing. I'm not getting my money's worth. And the sad thing is, people talk about what good that for underprivileged people and this and that. If the American people had that money in their pockets, they could do better good with it. Instead of sending it for condoms to Hamas, we have wonderful charitable organizations, legitimate ones, that we could support and give money to.
Right.
And really, the American people ought to be the government, and we look after each other. We don't need a government to look after us. And that's what we had a war about.
Yep.
And slowly, we've gone back into Jacques, what was his name? Jacques...
Cousteau?
No, not Cousteau.
I don't know where
the Frenchman that came over to study us after the revolution. De Tocqueville. Alexis de Tocqueville. Well, his mama should have named him Jacques. But, he came over and he said, as soon as these people learn that they can bribe their constituents with their own money, this thing's going to fall apart. And boy, was he so right.
Well, but I mean, look, what President Trump, what Musk, what they're all doing, they're from the private sector. I mean, you run a business, Greg. I run a business. If we were beholden to shareholders and our books look like this,
you'd be going to jail. You'd be going to jail.
Yeah.
Well, it's our board of directors. We don't throw the bombs out.
That's true.
Let's go to the phones. Good morning. You're on with Greg Walker.
Information. Didn't know this. My God. Given okay, I hadn't heard that one. Y'all are awesome. I'm learning so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate
Thank you for the phone call.
I'm looking for those quail eggs. Those pickled quail eggs. Because when it comes to sex, I don't have much to study. I should have been a writer on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
You'd be funnier than the ones they have now.
Oh, isn't that a shame?
Yeah. I mean, 50 years, I guess you run out of material eventually.
Yeah.
So.
Well, all the good writers, the Mel Brooks, the Cole Reiners,
true.
the people that wrote for Milton Berle and all that, they're all dead.
I know. Yeah.
And then all you get now is a bunch of filthy words and everybody laughs.
Yeah, that's right.
I get embarrassed when I listen to these jokes.
No doubt.
There's really nothing funny about them.
Right. Well, on that note, we need to take another break. We'll come back. Estate planning? We want to talk a little bit about that?
Why not?
All right.
Why not?
That's what he's paid for.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Delta Airlines has resumed flights at Toronto Pearson International Airport following Monday's accident. Investigators are sifting through wreckage from a regional jet that flipped after landing and skidding along the runway there. There were no fatalities, but 21 people were taken to the hospital, and Delta said that all but 2 had since been released. The regional jet was coming from Minneapolis-St. Paul with 76 passengers and 4 crew members on board. Investigators from the U.S. and Canada will try to figure out what went wrong. The so-called black box recorders were both recovered from the scene. Yum Brands said it will consolidate its U.S. offices, relocating about 200 corporate workers as a result. The company said its 2 main locations will be in Plano, Texas and Irvine, California. Parent company Yum and the KFC Foundation will still keep offices in Louisville, Kentucky. Futures have been mixed this morning. Stocks edged slightly higher yesterday. The S&P 500 touched a new record high. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
The clinics welcome Dr. Noah Miller, family medicine physician, to our team. Dr. Miller from Vadrine, Louisiana, is now accepting new patients. Call today to schedule your appointment. The clinics offers a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, urgent and acute care with on-site lab and x-ray. Same-day appointments are available, and we accept most insurance and Medicare. Experience exceptional care at the clinics. 1587 North Bolton. Call 445-9823 or look us up online at theclinics.us.
Got a big day ahead of you? Then it's best to fuel up with some of Sinlaw's best at Bricato's restaurant. Walk right in and just smell that home-style cooking. Place your order, take a seat, and do breakfast right till 9:30 this morning. Get fresh biscuits, eggs any way you like them, melt in your mouth pancakes, grits, hash browns, sausage, bacon, even wraps and sandwiches. And don't forget their fresh brewed coffee. Bricato's Restaurant, 28 West, right across from the Coliseum. Your breakfast is waiting for you.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them.
If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
Well, a cloudy and windy day for us today. Good morning. Our forecast calling for afternoon highs only up to 37 degrees. A strong breeze along with it out of the north at about 10 to 20. Tonight, 22 for the overnight low with a few clouds here and there. And as we look ahead to Thursday, a sunny day. Still going to be cold. Afternoon highs only near 38. Back down to 22 on Thursday night. From the Zenlaw Broadcasting Weather Center, that's your forecast. I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 34 degrees in Zenlaw.
Now back to Talkback. 970 AM. 104.9 FM. KSYO.
And welcome back, everyone, here on this Wednesday Talk Back with Greg Walker. We're having a ball. Time of our lives.
Oh, yeah. Somebody must have found the quail eggs.
We're indulging.
There's a lot of things I'll eat.
Yeah.
I often say I'll eat it if it doesn't eat me. But I've never been able to get into pickled quail eggs.
Really?
You don't see them like you used to, but back in the old days when they had a lot of these country stores out there, every one of them had pickled quail eggs. And they were homemade, too.
What about pickled pig's feet?
They had them, too.
Yeah.
I never could get into pickled pig's feet.
I don't think I've
never had any of the above.
And I bet they're good because, I'm like bacon. I could eat a ton of bacon. And
I can eat bacon, but I'm not going to eat a pig's foot.
What do you think a pig's foot is?
A pig's foot?
It's just, it's the same. It's bacon, just in a different place.
Yeah, but that place has been stepping in its own food.
Oh, well. That's aged bacon.
That's true. That's true. What's the most exotic thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, my God. I don't know. Since I gave up drinking, I don't eat like it takes a lot of courage to drink something eat something real exotic.
Yeah, I don't.
It's like that in that bucket list with, remember that, what was the name of that coffee?
Oh.
It has something to do with poo-poo and coffee or something, but it was the most expensive coffee in the world.
Yeah.
And it was legitimate.
From elephant dung or something.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my idea of exotic.
There you go. I guess.
Well, people eat bat. They get the bat nest. These people is it Japan or China? They climb up in these mountains and they get these bat nests or something, and they make a soup out of it. And
Isn't that how we got COVID?
I guess so. I had when COVID came out, I bought a T-shirt. And it had one of those packages that looked like you get rice from the Chinese. And it said, no COVID rice. That was my favorite T-shirt at the time. It had a circle, with a bar.
Oh, man. How do I even come back from that one?
Well, quail eggs and COVID rice. You can make a meal on that.
Oh, man. Time for a stage landing. Greg Walker.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. If you stay away from those exotic foods, you won't need a state plan.
That's true. That is true.
No.
On that note, normally we have your assistant Connor with us.
I miss Connor.
But she's still on maternity leave.
Still on maternity leave. We brought Levi into the world with us, and she's doing the mama thing with him.
Yeah. Has she brought him to the office yet?
Not yet. In fact, I spoke with her last week, and I said, look, you sent us the pictures, but I'm sure he's, grown a lot since they grow overnight at that age.
Right.
So we'll get to hug the little man.
She's doing well?
She's doing well.
Good.
So
we miss you, Connor.
Awesome.
Yeah. Come on. I really miss her.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful to finally find somebody conscientious and loves what I do.
I've noticed that your employees for you are almost like your daughters.
They are. They're my family.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And, I've got a family of women. And as long as I do what they say, everybody's happy.
He's figured it out after all these years.
After all these years. I'm just trying to figure out how to get hormones by the case. When I was young, I wanted to figure out how to get that pink antibiotic bubblegum flavor they give kids.
Yeah.
You need a whole ice box of that stuff in the summertime. I mean, during the school year.
Are you sure you didn't have any of those
I was
Twilights
going to say,
before the
maybe
show?
before he came in today.
I told him at the office the other day, I said, I've been in a better mood lately, and I find myself talking more to clients.
Wow.
But it's and I don't know why I'm in a better mood. Maybe it's because of Trump and Elon. And at least there's some hope once again.
You're right. No, I agree with you 100%. Hey, we got another call coming in for Greg. Let's take that. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
I don't want to interrupt y'all Comedy Central program going on there. I got
go
a little
ahead.
concern. I'm just wondering, man. Does any of that corruption and fraud and all that even come a little bit surprise to anybody? And
no.
My second part of that question is, what's going to be the ramification of once this all does get brought to light? I mean, what's going to happen? Are they going to actually anything that's new? Everybody, at least I'm 60 years old. I've known this has been going on all my life.
Right.
I was smart. I got a 6th grade education. I've seen that. So now, what's going to happen now? Are all the big shots going to pull together and form some sort of coup to do away with what the ramifications are going to be? I mean, what's going to happen now? And when I say now, within the next 4, 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, is it going to change everything? What's going to go on? Give me y'all perspective on that. That's what I need to know. Y'all have a good day.
It's up to you and me about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Freedom Caucus. They didn't want to appoint Mike Johnson and all these people. Has anybody heard from them lately?
Yeah.
Have they bound together to have a special committee to go in and root out all of this stuff? It's up to us as the public to get involved and hold these people accountable. They listen to this show. If we ask them to be accountable, they will no longer get on the show.
Right. That's right.
I mean, let's just be honest about it. I can be honest because I can be fired. And it won't bother me in the least.
Yeah.
But that's just the truth of the matter. Let's be, like Trump says, common sense.
Yep.
And, the gentleman said it didn't surprise him. I have to say I was surprised. For a while there, I had a tinfoil hat, and I said, nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah.
Truth is stranger than fiction. But even this, the how much of it was going on undetected.
Yeah.
We thought we had these watchdogs. Let me tell you what. If you fill in the wrong blank on your tax return, they'll be on you so fast you won't know what hit you.
Right. Or if you get more than $600 through your Venmo account.
Exactly.
Yeah. But there's something like the graft and corruption that's going on, and the money sent to Ukraine, and nobody can account for it.
Yeah.
This just goes on.
Yeah.
And that's just wrong. They're picking on the wrong people.
Yep.
Well, and to be held accountable, if they won't even come on here and be asked the questions to be held accountable,
Can you blame them? Because, everybody would have pitchforks and be mad at them. And they don't want to face the music.
Well,
Speaking of music, we need to take a break.
All right.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Let the good times roll. Mardi Gras is just around the corner. Kick off the season with the Pineville Night of Lights Mardi Gras Parade on Friday, February 21st at 7 p.m. Then on Friday the 28th, the celebration heats up with the Classic Cars and College Cheerleaders Parade in downtown Alexandria at 4:30 p.m. Then at 7 p.m., don't miss the annual Taste of Mardi Gras at the Randolph Riverfront Center. Savor incredible food from Cinella's top restaurant and dance to live music from the Seaweed. Then Saturday, March 1st, bring the whole family to the Children's Mardi Gras Parade at 10 a.m. in downtown Alexandria, followed by the first ever Mardi Gras on the Red celebration in Pineville that kicks off at 11:30, and the Mardi Gras party at the Alexandria Zoo at 1. Wrap it all up on Sunday with the Cruise Parade at 2 p.m. For all the parade details, log on to explorealexandriapineville.com. Or to discover something new in Louisiana, visit explorelouisiana.com to plan your trip today.
My doctor told me my blood pressure is borderline. I figured I could worry about it or do something about it. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. It works safely and naturally to help maintain healthy blood pressure with a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals. And it's odor-free. I'm taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, keep an eye on taxes, and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
We're Sinlaw Broadcasting, local radio doing local public service.
Arnold Wendell Bontemps, a noted Black poet and author, was born right here in Alexandria back in 1902. He is credited with writing over 20 books, plays, and anthologies, and was considered the leading authority on the Harlem Renaissance. His birthplace home on the corner of 3rd and St. James downtown has been lovingly restored and established as the first ever African-American museum in Louisiana. Get the details at arnoldbontompmuseum.com.
This has been a public service reminder from Sinlaw Broadcasting.
There's no better description than to say St. Jude is a place of hope. My name is Lindsay. I'm alive today because of this incredible hospital and the generosity of so many who wanted to support it.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Now back to Talk, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, we're back with Greg Walker. We got some calls coming in. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Yeah, I hate to double dip, but I have a question for Greg Walker, Esquire. But first, a congratulatory note. Greg, I applaud you for finding out where the cocaine in the White House comes from. We thought
a little dark joke
all the time it was a quail sex study.
Yeah.
So thank you for finding out where that cocaine goes.
You know how those quails are. They find a cozy spot. Look out.
I hate to sound like the professor on Back to School, but I have one question in 3 parts. Number one, you're in elder law, which is law school speak for old people, right? And so my first part question is, what percentage of your practice are the people over 100 years of age? What is the raw number for people over 150 you've actually worked with? And have you ever entered into a lawyer-client privilege with anybody over 200 years old?
Well, interesting that you should bring that up, because I've thought about having an ad campaign directed towards those people, because obviously they're the ones with the money. They get this directly from the government. So thanks for bringing that up. I need to circle in on those people because they have the dough. And that just shows you what's going on back there behind the scenes. How could that not be caught? even an idiot could come up with a computer program to spit out the 200-year-olds getting checks from Social Security.
Well, you see, Greg, a couple of things. Number one, I think you should have a promotion. And the first year's retainer is free for anybody above 200 years of age.
There we go.
I think that's great.
That's right.
And second of all, just like the mafia, we don't talk about it. Criminals and fraudsters don't advertise their fraud. That's why nobody knows about this kind of thing. Because those checks are going to somebody's account. There's a tracking number. There is a routing number. Somebody can find what account those checks went to. Those people, if I was cheating the IRS, I promise you they'd put a lien against my property. Why is somebody going and finding out where those checks went and saying, you have 30 days to make restitution with interest, or we're going to put a lien against your property?
Well, a lot of people are saying that. They're saying, look, normally all we get is a mean letter about all this, and to wake them up when they start prosecuting some of these people.
Yeah, when you prosecute members of the government, that's called insurrection, kind of like what happened on January 6th. So I'm sure the Democrats will claim that we're trying to take the government out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Appreciate it. Let's take another one. Good morning. You're on Talkback. Hello. All right. Not there. So got a note. Somebody wanted us to remind our audience that the newest congressman is this the 5th district or the 6th now?
It's the new 6th district.
Right.
Yeah.
Cleo Fields will be speaking at Mount Zion Church at 6 p.m. today for an open forum.
He's my congressman.
Yeah. So if you want,
I didn't know. I need to look at where those lines were drawn. I didn't think I was in his district, but when I went to vote this last go around,
there he
was in Cleo's district.
Yep, that swath goes from like Baton Rouge through Cenla up to Shreveport. It's the most gerrymandered map in the history of maps.
I can believe it. If it takes into Ackman,
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, we need to take another break. And our last segment with Greg coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Your home is your biggest investment. It protects your family. And your roof is the first line of defense against Mother Nature. When damage occurs, Hahn Roofing will perform free inspections for residential and commercial customers and will give you a quote right on the spot. At Hahn Roofing, we provide only the best materials along with expert installation, reducing the risk of damage.
Do you have storm damage? Who can you trust? Hahn Roofing, an Orange Corning Platinum contractor.
In Cenla, keeping your lawn looking great can be a real challenge. And that's why folks have been choosing our locally owned and operated company, Promo Fencing and Lawn Care. Promo can also be your local choice for fence installation and new landscape installs. They're real pros about it, too, offering free estimates and financing for those bigger jobs, residential or commercial. Bring your vision to life with Promo Fencing and Lawn Care. Call 318-452-6265.
We're Cenla Broadcasting, local and proud of it, just like this group.
The Central Louisiana chapter of the American Red Cross is located on Bolton Avenue, right here in Alexandria. Their mission is to prevent human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the generosity of donors and the power of volunteers. And since volunteers are a big part of everything they do, they can use your help. Learn more online at redcross.org.
This has been a public service reminder from Cenla Broadcasting.
What are you doing out there?
God.
I saw you at the game the other night. Yeah, you. Up there getting mad, acting like we're all out there making $1 million a game. But let me be real with you. This isn't the pros. It's school sports. And it's a game. Our game. So please, let us play.
All sports fans remember, when you cheer for your team, make noise for the right reasons. This message presented by the NFHS and the NIAAA.
And all student athletes in Louisiana.
Blind, low vision, eyesight changing? You are not alone. Connecting with blind and low vision people can provide support and expand your understanding of what is possible. We are making our own choices every day, but we are also stronger together. To learn more, visit us on the web at blind.org. The National Federation of the Blind. Live the life you want.
Over 60 and retired? Making ends meet, especially at the supermarket, is tough. Benefitscheckup.org is a free website that helps you pay for food, medicine, even utilities. Visit benefitscheckup.org.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, we're back. Last segment of the morning with Greg Walker. We have not talked much estate planning with you today.
Let's do that, because really this is a problem that older folks are going to face.
Yeah.
When you read, people don't read this, but it's even worse than we thought. The number of births in the United States, and we're even aging quicker than we thought.
Right.
Now, that's going to make a big impact on Medicare, because nobody wants to insure us old people.
Mm-hmm.
So we're stuck with Medicare.
Right.
And we're stuck with all kinds of crazy plans, and, some of them are okay, some of them aren't.
Mm-hmm.
The best health insurance that us seniors can get is health insurance that money can't buy, and that's the Medicaid program. And people would turn their nose up at Medicaid when I first did this. But let me tell you what, if you husbands and wives, I see this every day, they fend for each other. They get by somehow. But one spouse passes away, and then the other spouse is on their own, and they go down fast. And there are a lot of children that mean well, but in today's society, they have to have two spouse jobs and involved with kids and running them here and there. So the parent, in fact, in most households, it's the grandparents that do all the running around, because the children don't have time to pick a kid up at school or take them to practice and that sort of thing. But the point is, elder folks need to put things in place where when they die, they don't have to pay for legal services and court costs to go through an inefficient court system, number one. Number two, they need to have things in place where they don't have to needlessly spend their hard-earned savings, because the savings were designed as a nest egg to make the golden years better. And these golden years are getting tougher and tougher. I mean, if we have a hurricane and you don't have 100% coverage on your roof and it blows off, you're going to be looking for some money. And you better have things in place where you have saved and conserved your money. And it's just as important now. Used to be taxes. We would want ways to save on taxes, and we still do. But now it's a matter of ways that we can conserve our money, because we're living much longer. And the cost of care is just out of sight. And let me tell you, it's going to keep going up, because we have an aging population. It's kind of the reverse of inflation. We got so many people that need care, there's not enough supply, and so the price goes up, not from inflation, but from supply and demand.
Right.
And I see this every day, the dilemma, because everybody, when clients come in, I talk to them and I'll say, now look, none of us, I know you aren't, I'm not planning to go to a nursing home, but let's be reasonable about it. And it makes sense to put some things in place. If nothing else, you're going to make it easy for your kids when you die. And they say, well, we don't have much. Well, if you don't have much, shouldn't it be easy for your kids to get it? Why should you have to go hire a lawyer and pay the court system and wait and this, that, and the other? So I think folks need to look at things in the old brave new world. I don't know how brave it is, but we're in a new world. And with elderly folks, they just think, I made it this far. I didn't need Mr. Walker's help to get where I am now. I'm not going to need him when I get older. And that's what old people think. And plus, I paid my taxes, and the government Medicare program is going to take care of me. No, it's not. The Medicare program will not take care of you. people hear home health. Oh, well, home health will take care of me. Home health won't take care of you. It's designed that instead of going to the doctor's office to have your blood pressure taken, they come to you to take your blood pressure. That's what it amounts to.
Right, right.
If you want to get care at home, you have to be broke to qualify for a Medicaid program. If you're broke, they'll send somebody over to sit with you 12 hours a day, run errands, clean your house. Yeah, but you got to be broke before you get that.
Yeah.
That's your reward for saving. The broke people get that. You don't. Wow. You don't get it until you exhaust all your savings and you're destitute, and then you get it.
Yeah.
And so people just need to be proactive. The cost of everything keeps going up.
Yep.
But you need to decide where your money needs to be spent. And it needs to be spent with somebody who knows what they're doing to at least try to help to save your money. And by the same token, you know, we're at war against the government, so they're looking at ways to keep you from finding ways to save your money.
Yeah.
So it's a cat and mouse game, but you don't want to be on the losing end of it.
Sometimes I think the whole illegal immigration thing was pushed because they know there aren't enough numbers to sustain the system moving forward.
Here's the trouble with that theory. The people that were proponents of that, these people coming into the country, they don't work. They've immediately been a drain on our free medical and support services.
Yeah.
And if you look at statistics, then that's just they become one generation after another of freeloaders.
Yeah.
So that's what we need, immigrants who come here for a better life and want to work.
Yeah. Seminar coming up?
Actually, it's on March the 18th.
March the 18th is the next one. So you'll be back before then.
Hopefully. I don't get fired.
You and us both. All right. Thank you, Greg. Always a lot of fun.
Always my pleasure.
All right, Trish, it'll be you and Nathan tomorrow.
That'll be Nathan and I on a cold, chilly morning tomorrow.
All right. Stay warm, everyone.
Listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting.
FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HP3, Alexandria.
It's 9 o'clock.